Hi, welcome to my channel. I thought I'd share with you my top tips for hosting a party. I absolutely love throwing parties, I love hosting, and I've been doing it for so long, so I've picked up a lot of tips along the way. And these tips can be used for any kind of party. These are the same things I did when I was back in college throwing my wild, crazy parties as I do today with my kids' birthday parties. So it can really be used for anything. And these tips are more for the preparation for hosting a party. I'm going to do another vlog about tips for hosting a party during the actual party itself. So make sure you subscribe if you want to check out that video. So let's get to it. Number 1. This tip is the last thing that people think about and so often gets overlooked, but it's kind of important because it's the first thing that your guests will see, and that is prepare your entryway. So go outside and just wipe off any cobwebs off the doorbell, make sure the doormat is clean for your guests to wipe their feet on, move the cars to the side so there's a clean path for them to walk up, and also have some kind of sign outside that this is the party house. So you know with kids parties you put balloons outside, but people often forget to do something for grown-up parties. So make sure there's something, some kind of notice that says this is the party house, because there's nothing worse when you're trying to figure out which is the party house and there's nothing that will tell you. What we usually do is use uplights. So we put uplighting outside so that our whole house is lit up in like red or purple or whatever the color we're going for is. But so definitely a clear sign which is the party house. But it's definitely a tip that people just don't think about when you're so focused on getting the inside of your house ready and everything else done, you forget about the actual entryway. So that's tip number 1. Number 2, have your house in order. Of course, it goes without saying that it should be clean and tidy, but there's also a few little things you can do to make sure that your house stays clean and tidy throughout the party. Things like making sure your bins are empty, because if they're half full before the party starts, they're going to be overflowing in no time. And you don't want to be wasting time at the party emptying out your bins, and also your guests don't want to see that. So make sure your bins are empty. Same thing goes for the dishwasher. Make sure that's empty as well, because throughout the party, plates and cups are going to be stacking up. You can just take 2 minutes to go over really quickly, put them in the dishwasher, put them away. But if the dishwasher is half full before the party starts, there's nowhere to put them. And that means clutter, and that means mess, and that means just not the kind of vibe you want to go for a party. Also make sure there's a place designated for your guests' coats and bags, you know, on a bed upstairs or in a spare room or something. These things might sound trivial, but keeping things tidy and in order will lead to a better flow and better energy in the party. Number 3, seating for at least half the guests. I always try and work out seating for at least 50% of the guests that are coming, because you don't want everyone to be sitting down because that can lead to a boring party, but you also want guests to have the option of sitting down. So if you have like 30 guests and only 5 seats, no one's going to take those seats because they're going to feel guilty about taking the limited seats. So try and have for about half your guests. And also think about where you're placing them, because, you know, if you're at a party where there's one chair on its own in a corner over there, no one's going to sit there because they're like, it's just weird. And so try and have like 3 seats in any area. You know, think about where you place your seating. But that's something that often gets overlooked. People don't think about where their guests are going to sit and congregate. So try and have a seating plan. Number 4, prepare your bathroom. Of course, clean and tidy goes without saying, but also try and have fresh soap, fresh towels. Try and anticipate anything your guests might need. Have a fresh roll of toilet paper on the hook thing, what's it called? A fresh roll, and because you don't want your guests to be having to change out rolls of toilet paper during the party. But if they do, make sure that there's some there ready to go, that they can very easily find it, because you don't want your guests to be having to walk around the party looking for the host to ask for, sorry, is there some more toilet paper? It's just so embarrassing. So don't put them in that position. Just have everything there for them that they might need. And also, I always light a scented candle in the bathroom for obvious reasons. Your guests will thank you. Number 5, create a music playlist. Try and create this playlist ahead of the party. You don't want to be wasting time during the party trying to figure out what song to put next, the song after that. So try and anticipate how long your party is going to be and make it a little bit longer, like half an hour, an hour longer, because you don't want to be pressing repeating songs that people have already listened to. Also think about the flow that you want the party to go in. So I usually kind of do the relaxed, chilled out songs at the beginning, and then leave the kind of fun floor fillers, songs that we'll be singing along to towards the end of the night. So yeah, try and think about what direction you want your party to go in. Number 6, lay out snacks. So at most parties there's the food table, and I do it too. I have the main food table, but also try and have some snacks around the place, and just a mix of sweet and savory on tables in different areas, because if your guests are congregating in one room and the food table is in another room, you don't want them to have to walk through there to get a handful of chips. You want them to be in easy access to all your guests. And I try and have as much food laid out as possible at all my parties, because I always think a well-fed guest is a happy guest. Number 7, make food ahead of time. The last thing you want to be doing is cooking while your guests are arriving and having fun. You want to be entertaining, you want to be talking to them, so try and pre-make everything that you can. If you're serving hot food, try and serve hot food that you can just very easily reheat and just pull out and serve right there. I always go for a charcuterie board. I love charcuterie boards, so I always make that ahead of time and then chill it in the fridge and then just pull it out as the guests are arriving. So that's easy, that's the prep work done. So that tip goes hand in hand with this tip, which is serve easy to eat food. So unless you're having a sit down dinner, try not to serve too many dishes that require utensils to eat, because if people are going to be standing around, you don't want them to be trying to, you know, cut lasagna with a knife and fork. It's impossible. So easy to eat food. You know, if you want to serve lasagna, do it in those little lasagna cups, make some of them. But I always try and think of things that people can eat with one hand, because we've all been at those parties where you're just kind of awkwardly balancing a plate on one hand and trying to cut. So try just to not put your guests in that position. Number 8, prepare lighting. This is another tip that is so often overlooked, and so many times at parties hosts just leave the big overhead lights on, and it's fine, but it doesn't really create a great vibe or great energy. So try and think about your lighting. So turn off the overhead lights and try and just have dim some lamps on, get some fairy lights, some candles. As I said earlier, my husband and I are big fans of uplighting, so we always have some fun colors in the corners of the room. If you're gonna have something outdoors, have some outdoor fairy lights, whatever it is, but just really think about the lighting, because that is so often overlooked. Number 9, create a DIY bar. So as soon as your guests come in, of course you're going to want to put a drink in their hand, and then you should spend the rest of the party regularly topping up their guests. But if you're busy or distracted, or you're doing something else and your guest is there with an empty glass, you want them to have the option of, okay, there's the bar, I'll just go help myself. So, and it doesn't need to be like a big crazy bar with every single type of alcohol out there. It just needs to be a bucket of ice, a few bottles of wine, maybe a pitcher of a cocktail or something, and just something that they are welcome to help themselves to, because there's nothing worse than when you have an empty glass at a party and there's no sight of drink anywhere and everyone's kind of thirsty for some alcohol. So a DIY bar is always welcome at any party. I also like to have a DIY tea and coffee station as well for any guests that might not be drinking. But of course it's nice to be, like, as host, regularly top up your guests, ask them what you can make them, but give them the option to do it themselves if you're busy or distracted. Number 10, create a preparation timeline. I know a lot of people might think this is just complete overkill, but before I got married and had kids, in my old life, I was a video director, and I had it hammered into me how important it was to have a good timeline and to be so over prepared. And I brought that into my everyday life now, so I am just so over prepared for everything I do in life. So when I'm planning for a party, I have to take note of everything that needs to be done and how long I anticipate everything will take, and put it in the timeline so I know, okay, at 1 p.m. I need to set out the chairs. At 2 p.m. I need to start making this kind of food, whatever it is. But I have to go by my timeline, because I don't want to be the kind of person that 10 minutes before my guests are supposed to arrive, I'm still running around with wet hair and half a face of makeup and still nothing done downstairs. So that's it. They are my top tips for hosting a party. As I said, this is more the prep side of things. So if you want to see a video with tips for hosting during the actual party itself, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you can check out that video. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, please subscribe, and thanks for watching. Bye!